we could debate this. I mean, Bryce kind of mentioned that, but to save money, the school district picks it up oftentimes, typically what we see is that first 18 credits. Or if there's a special circumstance, a school district may pick up more or less.
I mean, so one of the classes we take is speech. We don't have a speech in-house, right?
Right.
So it's hard for us to, it's expensive for us to offer that or have, add to our staff, but if we can just, the ones when they assign it to Southwest Tech, when they sign up for that, I mean, it's a way to offer more and not, you only use them when you have kids that are in the program, so that's how I think this would save money is you can offer more without having full-time or part-time staff members on the bureau.
So I'll actually get into that a little bit, Bryce, because you're going right where we're seeing at least 2 districts in our service area going. So I'll get into that, and there's some options there. So we can go to the next slide. So these are our programs. So this is specific to Southwest Tech. Every WTCS is a little bit different in some aspects. UW-Platteville is a little bit different than what we offer. But so these are specific to Southwest Tech. Next slide. So the first one is transcript to credit. Those are courses that are taught here in your building by your faculty who are qualified to teach in the higher learning system. So I always tell districts over the past 3 or 4 years, HLC, our accreditation body, has gotten incredibly tough on us. And really, we can only offer transcripted credit out to our districts if that instructor can teach Southwest Tech classes. So for example, if somebody's going to teach a communication course, they have to have a master's in communication, not just a master's in education that we oftentimes see. That's what I have, but I could not teach communication courses. So we've seen that landscape's really changed, created it more difficult to offer transcripted credit. So certainly something we see, we feel, and we're definitely aware of. So transcripted credit courses, accounting 1. This is 1. And it looks like Mary Johannesson is currently working with the new business instructor to approve. So that's in progress. That will be a new one, hopefully sooner than later. So you can see a 3-year overview of the transcripted credit courses. It was up and then down and then back up. So it's hard to see, but what is the gray box? 127. So we had 41 students last year. This is last year for 127 credits. So my question is, and I asked this as I was coming in, how many students are in your senior class? What'd you say, 30, 35? So essentially, last year, you can think everybody in your senior class took advantage of that. Really, was that true? Probably not. But 41 students in your 9 through 12 took advantage of the transcripted credit agreement for a total of 127 credits that were issued. So huge benefit and a great piece to take advantage of. Advanced standing. This is an agreement where if a student earns these classes, they can only transfer to Southwest Tech. So we really actually advise against this. We prefer to go the transcripted route because that opens up more doors. Transcripted is transferable. If they're transcripted, they have the option to go other places with it. Advanced standing brings them only to Southwest Tech. So it's actually beneficial for us, but as educators, we want to look out for the students and their best interests. So we really advise against this. And I doubt Highland has any. Let's see them. Nope, Highland doesn't have any. So the third bucket here are 3814 contracted courses. And Bryce, this is kind of what you were referencing. These are courses and an option that Prairie and Platteville have both taken advantage of. Now at Platteville, their FACE instructor retired. What is that? Family and Consumer Education. Instructor retired. They couldn't find anybody to replace the position. They came and said, can you help us out? What do you have? We're like, yeah, we'll see what we have. So we have a lady in Platteville who used to own a daycare center and has a bachelor's degree in early childhood. She goes into Platteville High School every morning at 8 o'clock and teaches 2 sections of infant and toddler well, one section infant and toddler and another section child development. And then in the afternoon, our culinary manager out of our cafeteria goes down and teaches baking 1 and baking 2. So he goes right into the facility. So essentially, Platteville High School has bought those sections and they're closed, specific to Platteville High School students. So they're just their students in the classroom. Prairie du Chien did something similar. Really what they have is a very dynamic law enforcement officer in their community. And the request was, can we get some criminal justice here? Well, they're not going to hire an instructor to teach criminal justice. So they came to us and said, hey, can we do this kind of agreement? So he's actually, I believe he's their city manager in Prairie du Chien now. He goes into the high school and teaches intro to criminal justice and community policing. MedTerm is another example. They had a lot of interested students in healthcare. And so we offered that in an alternative delivery format. Our instructor lives in Chippewa Valley and she zooms in synchronously during the day and teaches those courses. So, all right, Start College Now. This is our Wisconsin State Statute program, and this is where juniors and seniors can come in and enroll in courses. Typically what we see here is a student, maybe they want to go into welding. We have a nighttime welding program, so they'll come over and take that entire welding program. My nephew had to complete his English course, so he only had to do one course. The rest of his time was spent over at Southwest Tech taking agriculture courses. So it's really, they can take an entire program, they can just take one course. It's a Wisconsin State Statute. So it's a program that's offered there. Those students, they go into classes with all of our other college students. As a matter of fact, the instructor oftentimes doesn't even know if they're high school or not, or what the scenario is. They just simply know Johnny's on the roster. All right, so this is our 3-year overview of Start College Now, where we have 7 credits. 7 credits, 2 students, actually 1 student for 2 courses for 7 credits. So it's pretty good. I don't know, does anybody know those stories? Like, did they come over to our campus? Or was it alternative? No, not sure. Okay. I didn't know if they were actually traveling or. No. All right, College Up. This is our Southwest Tech specific program, and this is a program where we partner with CISA, and it's all kinds of tracks within this program. And all of the courses that are offered underneath this are specific to high school students. So we have, you want to go to the next slide? Our first bullet point there is Gear Up, General Education, Transferable Courses. There's 21 credits in there. All of those 7 courses are specific to our high school students. So if they're taking an intro to sociology within this program, it's only their high school students, only their high school classmates. I shouldn't say their high school classmates, but it's across our service district. 11, 12, 14 is our nursing program, and that's for someone who definitely knows they want to do nursing. They start as a sophomore, and then when they graduate their senior year from high school, they have their first year of our nursing program completed. Granted that everything goes well. Our other very popular track is healthcare careers. This is for students who know they want healthcare, but not so sure what area. Maybe they want to go into physical therapy. Maybe they want to become a brain surgeon, a pediatric nurse, or who knows, lots of different areas they want to go into. This is a really good one to help get some college credits underneath their belt and explore some of those courses. One and done, lab science. This is offered at our Richland Center High School as well as our Platteville High School. They're actually physically in the high school. Both of those districts have a room specific for those programs. And it's actually, Richland Center, we've seen a lot of success there. They have a huge dairy manufacturing base. And we've seen students who would typically not go on for a degree or higher education, maybe it's family support, whatever it might be, complete their degree and get hired in the community. So it's been actually really good. EMT firefighter, all of those courses pathway right into our criminal justice program. So that's pretty awesome. CNC machine operator, that is actually another program that's in the Platteville High School. And then our Pistons to Pathway Automotive. I imagine there's students here that are participating in that. Does anybody know? Any Highland students? The only reason I say that is Mark Philback is a huge supporter of it. So my guess is that there's probably some participation.
You've been the best, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think we have one
I don't
currently
think we
doing
have
our-
one this year. Okay.
But we have, yeah, the last couple years.
And the two paths we're looking at adding is education. So that'll be education driven, and then the other one is criminal justice. We're actually going to add a path. And what we're doing for criminal justice is pretty cool. The prison and Boscobel has asked us to partner, and so it's gonna be a very dynamic course where the students, we're gonna try to do this in August before school starts for most of our students. But they're gonna travel out to our different jails and our different prisons in our service district. And then for the coursework, they'll actually be online, having discussions around what they learned on those experiential courses. So kind of a cool piece. We'll see how it goes. Our challenge always in our rural districts is we service so much mileage. It's really hard to do interactive education that's not 100% remote. So we're hopeful that works. All right, so here is the College Up participation. And looks like total credits, you had 38, is that what the last count says? So 11 students, 13 courses for 38 credits. So students are definitely taking advantage of that, for sure. All right, so overall, out of all your, the whole entire year, your students in the high school earned 139 credits. So it's approximate cost savings of $21,000 to the students. So pretty cool, very powerful, and something definitely as a board is helpful and good to know and celebrate. So very good. And what that leads me to is we did a dual credit award system this year. And so Highland was awarded the Silver Award. So very impressive. So what that means is you had students enroll in 2 or more of our 4 dual credit options. And this is the tricky part, and 35% or more of the students enrolled. I would say that's the tricky part. So we service 30 districts. Only 14 school districts received an award. We started off at platinum, then we went gold, silver, bronze. So for Highland, you're at the silver level, which is, I think maybe it had 2 or 3 school districts at the silver level, 1 at platinum. So something to definitely be very proud of and celebrate, and yeah, so it's always good to be able to celebrate good news. And the last slide is just my contact information, as well as Mary, Bryce, and Josh. I know you both have our contact information, so certainly know how to get a hold of us, but yeah. So now what I have is the banner here. So this is a banner that we've done up, and every year we will come back and update it with where the school's at, and hopefully it just keeps getting better and better.
You give it to Josh, I'll take a picture for social media. I'm the photographer.
Come on, Josh, go over here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Is you ready?
Yep.
Hold it level.
It's a level.
Oh, there you go.
You're talking to me.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks for having me come to
Thank you.
present. and-
Yeah,
So
thank
can, Southwest Tech, you almost use that as a junior college, you get associate degree, like your education, you said you get education classes or prerequisites for some colleges, and your associate degree would transfer to a 4-year
So
in some.
you can. So we have, students have to be very strategic about it, because right now that's not our purpose, is to be transfer friendly. It's really to come in and get a degree and go out and work the trades. The trades is our big thing. However, through the years, we've been very strategic about building many of those transfer possibilities as possible. So I would say if a student knows that they like to transfer, to certainly have those conversations up front. And let's say they're in education. They know they want to transfer onto a 4-year, all right, awesome, let's have that conversation and make sure they're picking courses that are the most transfer friendly, is usually what we say. Transfer though is always up to the receiving institution. So that's another thing we always encourage them, talk to where you want to transfer to and then work backwards. But anybody that's been in higher ed can appreciate this. Our credits are about $100 and $140 a credit. And I know I paid way more than that for my education. So it's really a kind of a sweet treat for some of our students who maybe didn't have intentions of going on or don't really know what they want to do to get in and dabble around a little bit. Try it out. Any other questions?
Thanks, Karen.
Yeah.
Just to add to what Kim was saying tonight, as far as, not just the transferring, but even 10 years ago, you didn't see hardly any of this. And the tech schools, including obviously Southwest Tech, have done a great job working with the 4-year schools, UW-Platteville, the WSUC schools too. Kids that, as Kim mentioned, they know they're not going to a tech school, they know they're going to 4-year. I use my daughter, for example. My daughter will graduate and she'll have probably close to 30 credits that she's going to be able to use when she goes to a 4-year college because of what Southwest Tech has offered. And now with our 14 credits and our Spanish 4 that they get from UW Green Bay, I mean, the options for our kids, whether they're going to a tech school or a 4-year school, can use Southwest Tech, and it is a lot less expensive. It's going to save me a ton of money if I don't have to pay for 30 credits in college.
That's a year.
Especially if she goes to Madison. So I commend Southwest Tech, I commend you, Kim, all the work you guys have done and are continuing to do, and how you are getting options for our kids to get credits paid for by us as a district. And I think, as a district, that is money well spent to get these kids started off on the right foot. So.
I'll also add in, your example there is a perfect example. Your daughter has you as an advocate. You know what's going on. Like I have a son who's a freshman in high school, and I'm already like, oh, what are you doing for dual credit? And of course, it's like, oh my gosh, what are you talking about? I just want to play my PS4. But your son or your daughter had you as an advocate there. And so many times we see students that don't have that. And unfortunately, when we're in our rural districts like this, they get that because they have the Joshes in their corner or the Bryces in the hallway, or just folks that know people and how to advocate and what are the plans and where are you headed to, and try this course over here. Let's see what it does. And so excellent point. It's a partnership, and yeah.
I do think, Josh, that we need to get more of that information out to parents too. I mean, this is very helpful for us, and then it's just kind of passing that information along, because I know kids are signing up for courses right now, and a lot of this additional information isn't passed along with that. It's probably given to the kids, but not always out to the parents. And I know there's a lot of responsibility the kids have to kind of keep moving that stuff along, but it definitely is more communication that we can always do.
If you're interested in that, we're certainly happy to provide content, whatever it might be. Maybe this little bit of press gets the word out a little bit to parents. But yeah, we're happy to collaborate if you need any kind of content for a newsletter, or if you send emails out, or
Maybe
whatever.
we'll do something on our Facebook page and then get a link on our website.
Yep.
That'd be ideal.
Let us know, and we're there.
Sweet.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Safe trip.
Yeah. It's always fun coming back in here. I say back in here because I'm coming out of Spitzer. So it's like country roads to the max. Great.
All right, on to the principal's report, Josh.
Yeah. So latest with our coming back from Thanksgiving break, that we had a little splash of COVID in our elementary school. So As you know, we have the threshold of 4 there, so we've met that. We actually have another case that came back positive today, so we're at 5 now. I'll send another letter home at the end of the week, the parents just updating them, but we'll be masked there for a while. And it looks like right now our elementary concert, which is coming up here, as you all know, will be masked this year, so. Talked to Miss Pink about it, she's not worried, Isabel will let her rip with masks on, so. I think the middle and high school's been pretty steady, pretty quiet, so knock on wood it stays there, but. Anyway, so we're all masked up now, so hopefully we won't have to worry about too much quarantining as we did previously before that. Just some stuff around the district in our middle school, obviously the boys basketball season is just finishing up right now, they're hanging in there, the 7th grade is a little less savvy than the 8th grade. 8th grade's doing very well. 7th grade won though their first game here last week, so they're on the winning side there. So nice for them guys to get that win. High school wrestlers went up to the tournament with obviously the co-op and Royal, Dixon Taylor. I think we came back with 5 champions of that, and we won the tournament. So they're off to a great start so far. Lately they had a rash of sickness though too. So hopefully this weekend they go to the Dells. That's coming up as a discussion item later today, but they've had 4 or 5 kids out here last week with just the common cold and just stuffed up, plugged up type of stuff. But boys, I think they're 2-2 now, so had a tough one last night against an extremely good River Ridge team that is ranked in the division ahead of us, and I think they're up in the top 5 now, 5 or 6 in the state. So they held in there pretty good. I understand the first half, and the second half kind of got away from them, but they're hanging in there. Girls, we're off to a decent start so far. We got a big one tomorrow night against Belmont, and then Saturday against Albany. Both those teams are ranked, so it'll be a good test for us. But other things around the district, we have what we're calling the Cupcake Girls. So we have a group of girls in like the 6th grade in middle school that help Miss Bowen, and they make cupcakes and sell them. So they had holidays in Highland this last weekend, and they sold some more again. But they are up to, even since Veterans Day, they have raised just over $3,600. I mean, they've been obviously a lot of great donations. We had a great donation. I'd like to just announce Deb Corbin, the Aid family, or the Clifford and Margaret Aid family, donated $1,000 to the Cupcake Girls for the Veterans Wall. So I'd like to just note her in our minutes as a congrats, or a thank you, not a congrats, but a thank you to the Clifford and Margaret Aid family for their donation. 2 weeks left already until the end of the first semester. I can't believe it. This year is just absolutely been flying. But at staff meetings today, talked about the finals. Those are coming up. Every student in the first semester takes a final or a final project in each of their classes. So we are going to finish the first semester before Christmas break. It's a little short of days, so we're going to just extend our second semester. So the second semester will be about 4 days longer than the first semester, but we wanted to get those finals in before break instead of having to come back after, our absence for a while and expect kids to be ready for finals after being away from school that long. So, course offerings, we talked about getting that started earlier, so those will be due here next week. And then before Christmas break, then we'll be looking at course offerings and things like that for all our middle and our high school kids. And I think I will chime in with Mr. Bird's stuff that he's going to talk about, but I think that's it for me, unless you guys have questions.
Bird?
I want to start out, maybe some of you guys know this, but the school report card, we did very well on that. And there's a total of 5 ratings, 5 stars. The district got 4 out of 5 stars, exceeding expectations, 74.4%. And then it's broken down by subgroups. High school and the middle school both got exceeding expectations, 75 points in the middle school, 78, and then the elementary meets expectations, 65 points. And then there's not meeting expectations if you went below that, and I think down from there. But in what they released to us, they also encourage us, they say use caution when interpreting the scores and ratings due to the pandemic. And I don't know if that's meant toward schools that didn't score very well in, in some of these testings and things that maybe that's due to the pandemic, or the ones that did well, I don't know if they mean that, you know, how much you can rest your laurels on that, because it was a different year last year, but certainly that's very good if you're exceeding expectations, and there's a lot of factors in there. And, you know, some of it is based on hitting a target, like an achievement, but some of it's on growth, and it's tricky, because sometimes schools, if you're scoring well, and you have hitting that target, a higher target, then it's harder to get growth and keep the growth. It's also tricky in a small school because you have small class sizes, and, you know, one kid out of a 25 in a grade level, that's 4%. You know, one or two kids move in that have never been at our school, and it could throw the whole thing off. Or if they're the right kids, it could really help your score. So it's, I know that's a situation in small schools that it's, you can be at the top of the heap one year and you could drop down the very next year. So it's always a little tricky. We like to like to enjoy it when we get, you know, get the high rankings, but some schools really put that out there and really make banners and put things out, and then next year they could kind of have egg on their face. So I don't know what the best way to do that is. I mean, we didn't put out a big splash yet on anything that I know of. Didn't even put it on Facebook yet, but there's links on DPI. There's all kinds of information. Each area has a packet, you know, 8 or 9 pages of information and different charts. So that's those of you that want to dig into that. I think we should get something out there and just explain that we rated very high as a district, and, you know, if they're gonna want to know what's the difference between why did the elementary not get quite as high as the middle school and the high school. Can't tell you for sure, you know, it takes a lot of digging into, but it's based on growth and achievement and some other attendance and graduation rates and several things. But Josh has it all memorized.
Yes. Yes, I do. No, I'll just add that I'm very proud of the staff, very proud of the kids. Obviously, with everything that we went through last year, we were able to keep kids in school as best we could last year. I think we did very well with that, and I think that's a big reason why we scored how we did. There were so many schools last year, the year before that, you know, kids never saw the inside of the building, right? But we were able to do that, and obviously it makes a big difference when our kids can see the teacher face to face as often as we did, were able to last year. And it showed in how well we scored. So obviously elementary this year was a little lower than the other two, but they still did, you know, they met expectations, and it just shows you, you know, the little ones suffer the most, you know, when they don't have that teacher in front of them. So for us to meet expectations in elementary, I think it was an accomplishment as well. So very proud of the kids, very proud of our staff.
One other thing I got, not to lengthen the meeting, but, you know, I sent that little blurb about the charter school, and, you know, I can't find reasons to stay in the charter other than the school start date. And I know some people have questioned some of this, and, you know, I may have to do, you know, something out to the public about that. They want to know if will this change our funding if we weren't a charter anymore? Is it going to change our curriculum? You know, this is kind of this mysterious thing. Even when I was not in this district, it was, you know, Highlands, all 3 schools are charter schools. You know, you know, what's up with that? I said, I don't really know. Charter schools are, either they're specific to engineering or they're specific to, you know, we have a big school and they have a little segment that's, you know, working on the building trades or some little specific thing, and they may get 100 kids in that out of a big high school. But when this went in, there was some really good incentives for grants, and there's some large grants, $200,000 for a couple of years, and there's $400,000, $500,000 of grants that were received over the years for curriculum, training, about a lot of technology. I think you hired a environmentalist, is that the term?
An environmental teacher, educator.
And so you had extra staff, extra incentives, and sometimes, a lot of times, I believe a lot of that really helps affect and train the teaching staff and gets them to really expand how they view things, how they do things. However, talking with a few of the board members on the governing board and talking with them separately and together, a few of them, they're telling me that all the things that we're still doing and the things that we'd still continue, we can do that without being a charter school. We continue the senior project, the exit project, and all those things. We can do environmental things. We can just, things in school forest and things out on our grounds. We can do a lot of that. Don't have to be a charter. Then when talking to DPI, and I told some of you guys this, or I put it in the letter, that, there's more accountability coming down. There's also, the governing board is supposed to be operating as a separate board, taking more control of the curriculum. We're supposed to be in on interviews when we hire. I mean, there's a lot of things that they're actually now supposed to be a separate entity and form like an LLC or some kind of separate entity. So the current board members are not, they don't see jump through all the hoops, and we're not gonna do anything different than we're already doing. So I don't know, you guys think I should try to just craft that and get that out to parents or something? And the other question came up is, is there gonna be, parent input on this? I think it's really complicated to explain. Just if I try to put out there what it is and what it isn't, and how we'll continue with what we're doing now, but the advantages that we use with the charter school, and this will just expire, and there's an exit. I mean, we can take action not to renew it at some point. You don't have to do it yet, but in the end, there's a kind of an exit sheet you just kind of fill out into DPI, and then it just goes away. So that's what I'm thinking, but there's still time. I'm going to Milwaukee to that conference, and I can talk to different people down there and see if there's any advantages. There were some grants, and I think I told you guys there's grants, but they were for expanding or startup grants. And so I know somebody got a startup grant up north. They're starting a charter school. Lafarge also a couple years ago started something, environmental or forestry or something. And so there's incentives and money to get that startup, but we've already established all of our 100% of our district is in it, so we can't expand. And so in talking to the Nancy Hendrickson, the previous superintendent, that's one of the first things she said when I came on board, is that may consider not doing this. Because there's really the only thing that she can think of is the startup. There's some licensing advantages, but they've kind of been more flexible now in general with some areas in licensing, so that's not really a thing either. So I'll look at it further and I'll get some information out, so at least the public's aware that we're considering that, so it just doesn't happen and they'll say, oh, what's that all about? It's too late, it expired now, we're out of it. So if people have some concern, they can contact us. All good?
Sounds good. Would that change the name of our school, Josh? Would we have to change from Highland Community Schools, or that can stay?
As far as I know, yeah, I can stay as we are. So we have to mess with them. I know that was kind of a conundrum there when we had to change the name as far as tax IDs and all that stuff, right? But I'll just reiterate what Mr. Bird said as far as the charter. Obviously, when we started charter many moons ago, it's actually my first year here. Middle school just started it. We got the first grant, if you guys can remember, but it was a great thing. And it served a very, very good purpose that we needed at that time. And we set up a lot of programs. We got staff to a lot of places that saw a lot of things that we learned with our staff that we brought back to our district. We put things in place that we never had before. We were able to upgrade a lot of things technology wise here, a lot of classrooms, and a lot of benefits to our students, where now we have these things in place. The funding obviously is not, the funding is not there any longer, and we're still doing the things that we did previous when we had the funding. And and we keep rolling. So, obviously, if the charter, you guys decide to not continue with it, we don't want anyone, especially the community, you guys, the staff, to think that we're just letting it go. It's something, everything serves its course. It did it, we did a lot of great things with it. We got a lot of great things in place, so it was well worth the time, and got a lot of value from it. So I don't want anyone to think that it's just something that we're just letting slip. It's not that at all. So.
No, I'd agree, Josh, that it served its purpose and it was a great thing for the district, but the benefits of going forward with it just don't outweigh the added cost and difficulties of trying to maintain the governing council. Like you said, when you really look at the rules of that governing council, they should have their own budget and they should be hiring staff and involved in that. And
It's a lot of work.
It gives a lot of the control of this board away to the governance council as well. I think there were a lot of flexibilities provided at the time, and a lot of the ones that were popular got enacted into law, so all the school districts could use them, and so that's a good thing. I know when I went to one of my first school board conventions, somebody said, well, what are you guys doing that we couldn't just do? Like, well, nothing if you have the money to train the staff and make a full 180 on your curriculum and new textbooks and that kind of stuff. And so that's what those grants provided.
And obviously we were unique. We were a unique charter. It was only us and another school, I believe it was Montello. Montello, that our K-12 charters were. The other 99 point whatever percent of them were all in section, as Mr. Bird said, within a large district that focused on one particular thing that, which are great things for those large districts. For us, that was a unique thing that we were able to take advantage of.
So yeah, I think getting some information out to kind of give people a heads up that it's coming, so it doesn't come at a future meeting and then people wonder what's going on. And I guess at the start date, I think it's one of the popular things that will go away with that, but.
You just have to do a construction project of some form every year and get granted, and we can start every year early.
You get a waiver or something.
Yeah.
Does it affect,
That'd be great.
this is kind of peanuts on it, whatever, but, does it affect like the number of snow days or the length of our days or anything like that? It's just.
No, because they went to minutes of instruction or hours of instruction, and they took away the day limits. That's for both charter. We're a public charter. Now, if you're a private charter, they have different rules, but they're private school rules, but we're a public charter. And so we're still a public school.
But that was one of the benefits when we originally had it, is that we counted
Just another
minutes
example of
instead of
those things
days,
that
but that one was incorporated then, so
Right.
other schools could do it as well.
I think enough of the public schools to say, hey, we want to do this too, type of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, your facilities are up.
Right.
The audit review. We got the audit back, there's no findings, meaning nothing that found that they needed to correct. And they always put in for small schools, about the segregation of duties that we can't, they want, if you had more people in the financial, the business office, you could have more people looking over different things, and it's always in the small schools, even schools twice this size, that's always in there, but I mean, it's not a concern, but they always put that out there. And that's the only thing we have, and it was good, there's no findings. This was a difficult year for Linda and Barb, but because they had to transfer all of the student, the student accounts, activity accounts out of this Fund 60, they had to put them into a different fund to transfer them all out. And, I don't really know what that all took, but I just know the last two places I've been in, that was a big deal and a lot of headache, and then they're getting different. They're trying, calling for guidance, and there's a little different guidance depending on what question they have. So it's so new, it was hard to complete. So, when they had most of that, I know Barb was involved with that also, and they have no findings is, they asked the right questions, they got their right stuff taken care of. So, we have hard copies of that. If anybody wants one, let us know. We need you a copy of the audit. Yeah, trouble sleeping or anything like that. That's all I've got.
Did anybody get a phone call for the audit? Okay. I was just gonna let the new people know that you may get a phone call from the auditors at some point.
If they try.
I don't think you warned me.
I didn't know what was going on.
I didn't know either.
Get 2 minutes. I thought, doing an audit right away, you gotta, it's like if school employee was using something at home.
Yeah.
Linda Lou, you on?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Oh, she is. We just like to thank you and Barbie for all your hard work on the audit and done a great job this year. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Good then, Bryce? All right, Building and Grounds Committee update. Kenny, we met last week.
We met with, last week and basically met with Chloe Campbell over what, is, I'm assuming it's kind of her senior exit project. So we went to the girls' locker room and looked at what is needed in there for new bathroom stalls, and then also what we're going to possibly look at for expanding or upgrading the, girls' locker room. So that'll be talked about here later on.
It's actually, she tried to get it to be her senior project, and I don't think it got approved, and she just wants to make sure that something's done anyway.
I know it started off as that, but.
Yes.
Yeah. And the other thing on that, just so the board understands that storage, as you know, is always an issue. So over Christmas break here, Mike's gonna get a crew together and go up and just go through stuff that we're just not using anymore and get it out there on surplus and sell that stuff so we can save room and get some stuff back in the shed. Like, obviously, we have 2 vans now, a lawnmower now that we didn't have a couple years ago. So the Gator. So we just need to get some stuff out that we are not using, storing for no reason really. I mean, and then if we get some money for it, great, so we'll put it out there in surplus, so. Free up some space, get a little more organized here over break. That's our plan.
Sounds good. On to policy development and review, the second reading of the Neola policy revisions.
The only thing we changed from last board meeting was the distance on student trips. In case we consider alternative transportation, we proposed at 150, we knocked it down to 120 miles one way. If that second reading goes through, then we'll make that correction and send that into Neola, and they'll get it on our website.
I'll make a motion to approve only because I've obviously gone through this twice already.
Motion by Schimick and a second by Esser to approve the second reading of the Neola revisions. Is there any discussion?
So, real quick, so since we did a revision, we don't need another second reading, correct?
No, this is the
This is
second
good.
reading.
Even though we changed it, we're good. Good,
Change it in the first reading.
gotcha.
Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. On to new business, the first item is reviewing the Highland School Safety Plan and Training Drill Report for Act 23.
So I attached the training report, we had a drill today, but the regular safety plan has been no changes, except we need to update, Nancy Henderson's name is still in there, so we need to make that change. But we had a lockdown today at 2:15, and kind of summarized it. It was good, the staff took it serious, but we did find some areas of concern, that it's a good thing we do these drills. One of the classrooms, when actually we went around and checked, one of the doors came open. The lock mechanism didn't lock it, so if it was a real situation and somebody opened it, they'd be right in the classroom. So Mike Gate is getting on that right away. Some classrooms did not hear the announcement. Josh goes on and says, this is a lockdown, drill. We prepped the staff in the beginning, and Josh talked about this in the beginning of the day. For the drill, we wanted to make sure we know what we're doing. We don't want, people really to panic. Later on, we might do it a little different. Sometime we might do it more unannounced, but it's, it's not anything to be taken lightly, but we discovered that a bank of classrooms did not have, the speakers did not work. There were some wires that weren't hooked up properly when we put the new PA in. And I don't know why we didn't discover it until now, but maybe when the principal talked, really listen anyway. I don't know what.
I think that's it. No, we knew about it. We thought though there was something that was, with the new system that it just wasn't getting to them. And then I talked to Mr. Tucker about it and we thought, no, they can hear them when I go through the elementary building. So I can go, when I put announcements, I can go elementary wing, high school wing, and then both wings at the same time. So he was thinking that, no, it's just as long as you get the elementary wing, they would get it. And we found out today that, no, that's not the case. So we went and looked and something, what do you call it? A daisy loop or a daisy chain. So there was two of them that just weren't plugged in. So I don't know if they got unplugged or something happened, but so put those back in, but that cleared part of the problem, but the other part you'll talk about now as far as.
Yeah, the other thing is I went to the gym and then when you enter from behind the scores table in that big hallway, there's a storage room in there and open that up and show, Mr. Ryder's in there with kids, but he said, we can't hear the air handlers are running, they can't hear the announcements when they're in there. And then we talked more about that. It's like, we've been playing badminton in Fayette with the music on and the speakers, and so they wouldn't hear the announcements. So if there was really an intruder, and Josh says he's locked down, they wouldn't know, and they'd be in there playing badminton. Then we talked more about that. So you could be on the treadmill with, headset on, you could be in the weight room with music going, you could be in the music or choir rooms, or we thought the shop. So we have to come up with like a strobe light system or something. So either we flip a switch, there's companies that sell that stuff, let's figure out what we want to do with that, but we need to determine all the places that would have excessive noise and make sure we do a strobe light, or I know sometimes they try to market it in different ends of different hallways, so that would go off. So, and then we know that blue light means you lock down, but it is interesting that you don't think of these things, but should have, like a shop, you think, you got saws and things running or the dust collector, and you say, well, lock down, well, can't hear. So they just be doing their thing or in the gym or whatever. So that's kind of a big one. And well, we gotta get on that right away, and the officer is gonna help us with that too. Yeah. The other thing, we talked this morning about, and it was brought up by our staff in the meetings, that we also have to make sure that we train new staff, train the subs, and we have several people that we hire throughout the year. And once if we ever get an application for, bring out another paraprofessional aide or something, so we also need to train them in the lockdown procedure. They'll be with kids, they could be anywhere, and the principal says lockdown, well, they may not know what to do. We need to train them and also have it written someplace, but actually, written isn't gonna be good because they're not gonna be able to look it up in the heat of the deal, so we need to make sure that we have that as a checklist or something, make sure we do it. So those are things that, several things that came up, and this has to be, now it's required to be uploaded to the Office of Justice Assistance, to the state office, and we have to monitor this stuff every year, and we're supposed to have one of these drills and then a training each year. We usually do the training in service, but then we train and we hire people throughout the year and they never get trained. So it's just being aware and making sure that gets done.
It's just interesting, every year before school starts, we do training, or we talk about in our staff meetings, 4 different, fire, tornado, lockdown, and a hold, those 4 things. And it's just interesting how state law requires you to practice a fire drill once a month. but none of the other three. And if you look at all three, the fire drill is probably the least of the ones that you have to be concerned of today. But that's the one you practice once a month. But it was great though to find out, that's why obviously you do these things. That's why you have the practice. We found out on the door that we didn't know, that Mr. Swener actually checked that door. The door was locked, and he hit it hard enough where it tripped that lock, and he walked right in the door. We obviously didn't know that previously, so. And then just looking at the classroom, we thought, well, okay, I can give the all clear sign. We talked about what that means and what you can do, and if a sub is here, for example, and I might, if I say all clear, if I say something else, we always have the right code. If I say something else, then they know they don't get out. So we've had that before too, where a substitute was in place and they let the kids out and they were supposed to be released. So just those not little things, but things that doing the practices help you find out what you need to tweak here and there. So it was good. It was a good day to do that.
How often are you mandated? Like you said, the fire drills are done monthly, but how often are you required? Just once
Well,
a
they
year?
want you to do at least one training a year and then one practice a year, right? That's what
Mean for active shooter?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then we'll have the hold here this spring and the drug dogs in again, but Iowa County they usually have them in by now, but the dog for Iowa County's laid up. I don't know if he's gonna be able to go again, so we're looking at stealing Grant counties for a day and having them forward.
So there's no action needed on that item, we just needed to review it.
Well, I think you have to sign off to send it in, so I think that Neil said that it is approved by the board that we had the drill. It's the evaluation of the drill is what you approve, and then if you want to add anything to that, but I try to lay it out, so these are the 4 things and these are the action items, so I think you should approve the drill and the evaluation and then sign it, then it gets uploaded to a document, a share file, is that what it's called?
I make a motion to approve the Highland School Safety Drill Evaluation. Second.
A motion by Schmick and a second by Jaeger to approve the safety drill evaluation. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is wrestling tournament in Wisconsin Dells overnight stay.
Normally they just go for a day and they wrestle a day up in the Dells, which we've done previously, except for last year, obviously it was different, but this year now we have, we're very fortunate, we have a very high number of wrestlers out this year. So we have a lot of JV wrestlers, which is great, obviously.
Well,
Yeah, so there is a JV tournament the night before. So they would leave on a Friday night and, but they wouldn't wrestle till later on that evening. And then they'd wrestle again the next morning as the varsity tournament starts. So, the wrestling club, wrestlebackers, whatever they call that, is agreed to pay for the rooms for them to stay that night. So it would be at no extra cost to us. As far as for transportation is the same, it's just the rooms that the wrestleback club would pay for, so that was nice of them. So they just need to get an overnight trip approved.
So are we paying for the overnight trip and being reimbursed, or are they taking care of that separately?
I think they'll take care of that separately, just pay the district, whatever it costs for the rooms is my understanding. You know anything different on that?
I don't know, I think they would probably make arrangements on their own, do you know, Barb?
I have no idea.
I don't think it's gonna flow through us at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Just permission.
Yeah, so it's an overnight trip, so all have to be approved by the board.
Do we have to have policy for that, like we do for the for the transportation with Title 19? Or is that?
That's why I'm asking. I don't think we're paying for the rooms. We're just,
If we were, then it'd be different.
Yeah, but we don't pay for the transportation.
we do.
We
It-
do,
Yeah.
yeah.
We pay for it and get reimbursed through a
Oh, okay,
donation.
so that's the difference. Okay.
I'll make
This
a
would be
motion.
just like if the kids would pay for the rooms on their own, but they're getting reimbursed by the
So why can't we do that? Sorry, but with transportation?
because I think we'd
Is that
have to
right?
provide transportation to the
Okay.
event.
Okay.
Which we still are.
which we still are.
paying for that part.
I'll make a motion to approve the wrestling tournament in Wisconsin Dells overnight stay.
I'll second.
Good luck.
A motion by Schimick and a second by Mitchell to approve the wrestling tournament Wisconsin Dells overnight stay. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is the agreement with Iowa Grant for early childhood services.
This is the same agreement, similar than we had last year, and it shows in the bottom the estimated cost of $22,956. Last year's cost, there's different combination of students. It was $38,844, and so what this is early childhood. We have a 4K, we don't have an early childhood. These are kids with special needs that are, 3 and 4 years old. And they remain our students, and we are just paying for the cost of the neighboring district Iowa Grant, a percentage of, depending how many students are there, of the teaching staff cost. Usually it's just the, if there's any curriculum, things that are, but usually it's mainly personnel. And we get to count them in our count, and then when we get the categorical aid back the next year from the state for that also. So it's different than open enrollment. They're our students, and we're just paying the school next door to educate them, and we transport them. That's why we get this, the one van.
I make a motion to approve the agreement with Iowa Grant.
I'll second it.
A motion by Benish and a second by Esser to approve the intergovernment agreement with Iowa Grant for early childhood services. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is open enrollment applications, alternate open enrollment.
One student, open enrolling out of our district, has not attended here, wishes to continue previous district, but moved to our district.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
A motion by Benish and a second by Yeager to approve the alternate open enrollment application. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Bids for girls' locker room renovation.
First bid is to the Laufenberg is to put up, what we're talking about doing is putting up in the girls' locker room, replacing the stalls, the toilet stalls with block instead of what we have now, metal. And the reason for we want something that's gonna last longer, they all get loose, and also this is something we may do in other parts of the school, and it's easier to control any graffiti or anything, because you can just paint over to do some things. So Laufenberg would come in and they would make the block partitions. It wouldn't go all the way up to the ceiling. And they make it a couple courses down on the back end and the front end, but there would still be some in between, so you could, if a toilet overflowed, the water could get to the drain and those types of things. And then we would buy, this is $2,800, then there's a bid also from LaForce for $1,700 to get doors that we would hang on the block. So we have, would be metal painted doors. We wanted stainless, but we couldn't get them couldn't get them quick enough. So we want to do this during Christmas break, get that taken care of. And some of you were here when this was presented by Chloe, but the doors don't stay latched. They're loose and we can't latch the stall doors, so people can push them open. So the total would be the $2,800 plus the $1,700. But we need to pick a color too, or somebody needs to pick a color, because he wants to order these tomorrow. The doors, yeah.
What are the color options?
You get any color you want as long as it's red.
Well then, why are we even having this discussion?
Well, we had this discussion with something else and we did not go with that, I believe.
Right, yeah.
Because Linda points out that Josh should not think.
Oh,
You do not want me picking the color, I'll be the first to tell you.
Let Linda pick. But is it red in there?
I don't know.
You let it
They're
in
gray or?
well, I
They're
have
gray,
it
yeah.
a long time ago.
Yeah, right.
A neutral color.
I don't ever wanna go back in there.
there?
Do you guys care what color Linda picked? Not again.
No.
We'll let Linda Lou do that then.
Just
Thanks,
make it
Linda.
thoroughly.
We talked about just seeing if Chloe had input from the girls too.
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe let Chloe pick the door color.
I don't want it to be like pink though, you know, we got that.
She
pink and
won't
stuff, we
pick
gotta
it.
get
You
chopped,
can give us-
you know what
Or maybe
Give
give
us-
her like a.
Pink could be tough,
Give
you
us
I
don't
mean? Yes,
know.
I'm sure that's.
How tough is pink? It's pretty dang tough.
Need a motion to-
Bids.
I Sorry, I move to approve the bids from Lockwood Masonry and the Force for the girls locker room.
I'll second both.
I have a motion by Yeager and a second by Schmick to accept the bids for the girls' locker room, bathroom renovation. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed?
I'm gonna note too, I know a lot of members can't get this done over Christmas breaker so soon, so it was very nice for those guys to get in here and hopefully, you know, hard it is to get stuff ordered these days, the force can get stuff here too, so we can get that punched out here fairly quick, so that's nice.
And thank you, Chloe, for bringing this to our attention.
On personnel items, we have Abe.
We do not, we had two that applied and both would have been great, but both declined to different positions. We're still looking.
We have a forensics coach.
We do. As you can see, there's this contract and contracts plural. So right now, I'd like to recommend Shane Keeler. Previously, we've always had numbers to warrant an assistant, but we don't know the numbers. He's got his first meeting here this week. Season starts here pretty soon, so we'll see what we have for numbers, and if I have to come back and look at an assistant, we'll do that later. But right now, we'll see what the numbers are at. So I'm recommending not just, but Shane Keeler as the head forensics coach.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Esser and a second by Schmick to approve forensic coach contract for Shane Keeler. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Volunteer coach for baseball.
Yeah, Carter Schmitz, AKA Chubbs, is looking to help out a program this spring. Like to volunteer, he just moved back here with his family, so I'd like to get him approved as a volunteer as quick as I can, because I know there's another district that's trying to get him. Belleville, the Dirty Dogs, but my
I was
brother-in-law
kind of
coaches
was
there.
thinking that this was really early for.
It is, so I wanna see if I can lock him in now and get him here, but I know Kurt, my brother-in-law, coaches at Belleville, and he's already hounding them, so I told him to beat it to it, so.
Spectacular,
I don't know, I don't think he's ever coached before, but he's played.
huh? I have no idea who this is. Did he
Yeah,
go
he's
to
my
the-
nephew, but he's played,
Oh, okay.
he played college, pitched in high school, was a very good pitcher, and he pitched a little bit in college too, so loves the sport, loves to help, and he wants to kind of get and help somebody out, so I think it'd be a nice little help for the kids. Talk to Terry,
And
obviously.
those aren't approved by the board, the volunteer
Yep.
coaches are just approved by administration, so. We don't have to do action on that one.
Nope.
All right, on the number 12, adjourning the closed session for the purpose of administrator performance review.
Actually, did I say one more thing, Mike? I apologize, I should have mentioned this earlier, but we had 3 new students here in the last 2 weeks, so. 2 high school students, both females from Arizona, the first in my years of education. And then we had a 5th grade student start this week, so 3 new students before our second count, so that's nice. Apologize, I missed that in my notes.
Yeah.
Closed session. A motion by Mitchell and a second by Esther to adjourn to closed session.
Thank you.
See you, Zach.
Discussion. See you, Zach. See none, Andy, could you do a roll call?
Benish, yes. Dressmeyer.
Yes.
Curry. Esther.
Yes.
Schmidt. Yeager. Yes.
I don't think. Josh, probably not.
Okay.
We'll keep Bryce for a little bit, and then we might kick him out too.
All right. Have a great night, everyone.
Night.
Get us a win tomorrow night.
That's the plan. Sorry.
And don't forget your board.
As long as there's a